daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Slackingo Finch. Mate, what's that? What are we doing?
Trying to keep quiet because I've already postponed the start of this podcast by interrupting you by reading too many tweets. Man, that was lackluster.
Yeah,
the back and forth banter I had with my wife's side of the family has been significantly more enjoyable, probably the most of that game.
Yeah,
it was just a bit. It was like the electricity. It started. We knew it would be scrappy at the beginning, and then it was scrappy at the beginning, and then they just kept peppering us for not really anything. And then I was looking for when we were going to do anything. Then we had the ball for a bit, and then it was half time. And I'm like, surely we'll make some changes at half time if it's not working. No.
I think we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about where it went wrong and what and why. But I really, to start off with, want to boil it down to its finest margin to something that's woefully becoming one of my catchphrases on this show. And with one shot on target registered in the entire game, mate, if we don't kick the ball at the goal, what are we doing? They have their second choice goalkeeper in goal for 60 minutes. Like,
but Greg, if we kick the
from the halfway line,
if we kick the ball, we might lose it, and if we lose the ball, they might score. So surely, if we just grind out 0-0 draws the entire season, it's going to be fine, right? We got a clean sheet. That's a positive.
It was just miserable, mate, and it had an effect on the atmosphere because
it did. You could tell it went quiet.
It very quickly turned to absolute frustration because it was just like watching some of the games last season. All of a sudden, we're popping it about at the back, and then it's Harwood Bellis to Stevens.
Mate,
it's like,
you can take the Russell Martin out of the football club. You can't take the Russell Martin out of the players. That's some of the problem we've got. I told you this when we kept more than half our squad, and you were like, "Nah, it should be fine. They were the good ones." I'm like, "Were they?" And that's no disrespect. I don't think the centre backs actually had a bad game at all. We kept a clean sheet, right? But one of the things that I'm
discrediting us with one shot on target, but also Portsmouth, one shot on target. So it's like, what an awful game.
It was just but this is the problem, is you said, we joked about how it's going to just end up being, but this is the first 0-0 draw in 100-something years? They said? 100 years. 100 years. And then the problem is that both sides just weren't good.
St Mary's this afternoon. That's what it felt like.
We both look like mid-table championship teams. And the reason that you celebrate that as a Portsmouth fan, apparently, is because that's your dream. Whereas for us, it's like, we just spent loads of money and we haven't got any better. But we spent a load of money 2 weeks ago. We've not had a game since. It's the first game. You had a debut of Tom Fellows, who did look really good when he had the ball, when they were able to actually pass him the ball. And on top of that, you had Leo Cienza come on and Casper Yander in their first ever game during a derby match where no matter how many times Will still tries to throw the kitchen sink at the end of the game, we don't have a player that can hit a barn door. I'm sorry.
Armour looked sharp when he came on and he looked up for it, but how can you expect him to do that in a 15-minute cameo?
Window? Well too late for the subs, mate.
100%.
Well too late. It was to try and also we were doing all right. It felt like some of the subs were a bit weird to me. Taking Fraser off, who's probably one of our best players, felt very, very strange. And also putting Ross Stewart on at the end, and I don't know. I don't know. Cameron Archer's supposedly our best striker because he's actually scored goals. But also, who thinks a ball to him all game is going to make him win?
That's not like we talked a lot last season about. You need to, cater the ball to the player, and that's not the sort of player he is. He needs the fast ball. And then I think the changes themselves were fine because what Ross Stewart is something different, and bringing on Armstrong and Stewart together to play off each other, to me, logically makes sense. That's a logical attacking, counter tactic. But do it 10 minutes earlier, at least 10 minutes.
Allow them to gel into the game from not it be suddenly and like, especially towards the end, like the time wasting was unreal. And some of the fouls, like Casper Yander picking up a foul for doing checks notes absolutely nothing. Like I'm not really going to talk about the ref, because like the ref did the best job he could have done in this situation.
I disagree, mate. He absolutely bottled it, because their number 22 should have been sent off 3 times.
Yeah, but
and literally every single time he called him over and went, one more and you're gone. You're on a yellow. And 3 times he did that. You can't do that. He's bottled it. He needs to send him. He needs to be gone. And then it's a different story. Because to be fair, if he sends him off against 10 men, we probably lose.
Wait, second choice goalkeeper on when they injured their own goalkeeper. Because let's face it, okay, there was a slight push, but neither of the 2 people in that situation, the centre back didn't need to dive. And the goalkeeper didn't need to charge out like he was about to enter Valhalla. Like, neither of those things needed to happen. They took out their own player, and then Mousinho's chatting absolute rubbish about it at the end. They had their second choice goalkeeper, and we went, ooh, that's a bit unfair. It's like when you hand your little brother the controller and be like, you score first, mate, you score first. That's what it felt like. It was so strange.
That's the thing for me. Like, you've got the second choice goalkeeper in. I understand that you want the philosophy of, like, get the ball down the wings and cross it in, but you've got the second choice goalkeeper in. Just shoot. Just take pot shots. And now, I have to say, though, Zach, from watching the warm-up, of which, even in the warm-up, the atmosphere is incredible. From watching the warm-up, they didn't score a goal in shooting practice either. Like, no one seemed up for it. No one seemed up for it.
A lack of confidence. Well, but the problem what I've also got, mate, and this is why we need to sort out our business earlier. I'm really happy with our transfer window. I think some of the players we've got have gone good. I think that in the wider context of the season, we can probably push on and do better once the new players start to gel. The problem is for this occasion, it's too late. It's far too late, because you've got a bunch of new players in for their debut. I'm sorry, even if you've come to a new country, you probably have just, you know English a little bit, you've been sat down, and then Franny Benali walks in and tries to tell you the importance of this derby, and you're sat there looking around the room going, yeah, all right, and then you start the game, and then there's people throwing lighters and charges on the pitch.
Mark Dennis is in the changing room trying to fire you up. Like,
Paul Dawson's dancing, and you're there like, what is happening? And then you have to come on, and then if you're Leo Cienza, have a good 15 minutes, but during that 15 minutes get taken out so many times that you spend more time on the floor than with the ball. Like, it's...
Welcome to England.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but the problem is, it's like, the first 45 minutes of the game, as pointed out, was just still pointed out, that was a bit of a waste anyway. Let's start playing now. No! You keep saying, you said it to me. You text me like, we're a second half team, really. No! We're at 90 minutes. The game of football is 90 minutes bloody long. That means you need to play for the 90 minutes, not sit around faff. We need to get into the rhythm of the game. You are trained and paid for the 90 minutes. Not 5, not 45, not 60, 90. Play for the 90. Losing my mind.
Right.
I didn't want to be this animated, but it was a derby game.
Let's simmer down. Let's take a minute. Let's have a break and hear a message from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right level to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody.
All right, and we are back. Zach, I want to talk about other areas of concern from today, because let's face it, this is a negative result for us from our perspective.
Well, apparently, if you're Portsmouth fans, the best win you could ever hope for is a 0-0 draw against your rivals down the road. Which again, need to put that into perspective a little bit as to how all right, yeah, okay, we probably did worse off, and yeah, we've spent more money, this, that, the other, but at least we're not celebrating a 0-0 like it's, life and death. But carry on, mate.
But
Sorry.
look, we don't focus too much on statistics on this show. We bring them up occasionally to prove points, but we don't put too much credit in them. But I want to talk about maybe the most concerning stat for me: 78.5% pass accuracy. What's that?
Right. So I don't know if it was because of the weight of the occasion, but like even a thing that my wife was pointing out was like, why is it? But the way that whenever I watch football with my wife, the way that it works is because I'm the Saints fan. And I'm the one that does a daily podcast about Southampton. For some reason, it's either my fault or I should be there managing them. Both of those things aren't accurate. To be clear, just because I have a better understanding of the thing I watch and talk about every day. But she's sat there looking at me and she's getting so irate. Like, why? Why can't they pass it to each other properly? I'm like, I'm watching the same game as you. But deep breath in. Yeah, part of the problem I kept seeing was that whenever we would pass it forward, we would just completely miss. I think that they were intercepting the ball a little better, and we were like just not prepared for the idea that when we passed into that space. So the problem is when we were passing too quick, because I think of the nerves, I think they were misplacing the passes all over the shop, and if they took too long, they would get tackled. So it just seemed like whenever we would kick the ball out, we would lose it straight away. And that meant that there was a problem because then we're just giving it to them in our own half, which is why it felt like for the entirety of the game, we were just sat waiting, like at least until the sort of latter end of the second half. Whenever we would drive forward, we'd be like, right, we've got the ball. Let's string a couple of passes together and we'd pass it forward, completely avoid our player, hit a Portsmouth player. The amount of this game that seemed to just be aerial. Like at one point, I noticed about 7 or 8 like transitions that were just dun 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 dun. It was like watching headers and volleys, but not allowed to. It was like the floor is lava.
I remember exactly the part of the game you're talking about, Zach, because I probably got heard on TV screaming in no uncertain terms, "Get it down!" like there's Ryan Fraser jumping up to attack a header. I'm like, why? What are you doing?
How he won a header, I don't know, but that's what I mean. It's like that. Okay, so the problem I've got with that is if it's the occasion and they weren't that up for it towards the end, I've run out of excuses. Other than the fact that maybe, mate, the reason we went down with a record low points last season is we're pretty rubbish, and these new players are yet to be able to sort of gel, stamp their authority, play the way they want to. We had a couple of debuts that went well. We had a couple, Azaz's first proper game that was just a bit anonymous, right?
Oh, but apart from one moment where all he had to do was just hit the ball at the goal and it was a goal, he tried to be clever and put it onto his other foot, and he got unlucky, to be fair, that the Pompey player caught it with his trailing foot. But all he had to do was hit it and it was a goal.
Look, say what you
with
want.
Their 12-year-old in goal,
Well, it depends. Some people said he
wanted,
looked at 5.
By the way,
some people said he looked at 45.
He wanted no part of the game whatsoever. I don't think he had a single goal kick that didn't go out to touch. Other keepers tend to stand sort of at the edge of their box instead of rather in front of the home fans who tend to shout and give them abuse. He was almost on the halfway line and not in like a sweep away. He wanted no part of it at all. It was ridiculous. And the fact that we didn't put that under more pressure and get shots away and actually work him at all. I mean, what
is that cohesion? Because the problem is there were no individual moments of brilliance, and we said we didn't want to end up reliant on Matías Fernandez's individual moments of brilliance, right? We've had other players that have shown that, like Matsuki in that Carabao Cup game, absolute screamer, came out of nowhere. The problem is you're right, no one really had a pop. The only time anyone really had a proper pop where they just went for it was Ryan Manning's shot into the moon, where he hit it so far, he's just like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take out a couple of satellites, where it went completely out, and I was like, oh, great. And that was because our distribution from even corners, if we're supposed to now be this sort of free kick set-up team where we take everything from set pieces, we're not showing that because we keep overhitting. Poor Fraser overhit the ball so many times.
But also, I mean, the people you're crossing it into are, with all due respect, Cameron Archer and Ryan Fraser, who are not aerial specialists.
No.
Like,
And the only person that
both
got
our
anything
players
at the
want
end
to
of
run
it,
onto balls.
the nearest we got was Taylor Harbour-Bellis right at the sort of last kick of the game, where he
Yeah.
just about managed to get his head on it. But even that, like all the chances we had in that game were like the weird Archer flick, couple of other bits and pieces. But that's my problem. Is it was just a whole lot. It was 90 minutes and nothing.
Weird one, because honestly, at no point in the entire 90 minutes, despite how we weren't good, but at no point in 90 minutes did I feel like we were at risk of losing the game.
I did.
There was a very dicey moment where it very nearly went in completely by accident, from what I could tell. But at no point in the game did I feel like we were in danger of losing it. But also, didn't really feel like at any point we were likely to go on and win it. I was like,
because again, like it's like we're relying on these sort of like Wrexham moments where Jack Stevens is going to come up and score a screamer, and like, is it because we didn't get a striker? We apparently weren't targeting a striker. Are our strikers good enough? Clearly, no. Okay, they need to get a goal for their confidence. When are they going to get a goal, mate? Because that's part and parcel of it.
I mean,
it's not really Archer's fault. He didn't get the ball most of the time.
Can we blame it on the strikers when 75% of the time the ball doesn't, is 75% pass?
So here's where the problem is.
Half of those passes are in our own half. Somehow we seem to be trying to skip the midfield and go for a long ball half the time, which we know doesn't work for Cameron Archer. He has, when we're trying to play a ball up to Archer to hold the ball up, he had both centre-backs on him, and one of them was almost twice his height. Like, he's never winning an aerial ball. Like, he's like trying to spin off and get the second ball, but he's got no, he's trying to get into a position where he can run on if they miss, but it's just so unlikely they're going to miss a header at this level. It's crazy.
That's the problem with, because what I found bizarre in the first half was a lot of our creative outlet ended up coming from fellows who did well for a debut in such a hostile, weird game. It must have been really strange. But also, Rorislev got absolutely bullied by Murphy the entirety of the game. It was the only time that I've ever really, truly missed Carl. Truly, I don't think he had a shocker. I just think that Murphy was just a better player than him. And I think that it's the only time I've ever truly gone, oh man, I miss Kyle Walker-Peters. But the problem is I can't make that point to you anymore without making a joke about when he cancelled his move from Besiktas to West Ham. Some guy like popped off in loads of the Southampton socials where like, you can keep your Kyle Walker-Peters. And that's all I can think of now. But like, looking at the ex-Southampton players that also didn't have a great weekend playing for West Ham. However, it's like in that moment, I was just like, man, I wish we had someone that could take on the physicality of Murphy and then also drive forward. Because I think when Rorislev had the ball, he didn't really look like we stood a lot either.
No, I think defensively against Murphy, he seemed to have more or less the measure. There were a couple of times where he properly...
he lost him a fair few times. Like, I'm surprised
every time he was... I don't think he passed it to a Saints shirt once,
No, I don't think... Oh, no, or if he did, it was back. So then that meant that if you've got Fellows who's our most creative outlet and the person behind him not really passing to him, because as you've established, we skipped the midfield for at least the first 45 minutes of the game.
I mean,
and on the left-hand side, nothing was really happening. So
I genuinely forgot Finn Azaz was on the pitch. Genuinely, he was so quiet in the first half, and like you say, it's only his I guess he did play in the last game after being in the building for a day, and so this is not technically his debut.
And also, like, it is a massive occasion, and the problem we've got is that is it a case of the fact it was a massive occasion? They messed off the back of that. Is there more at play here? It just feels like that whole first half, nothing happened. The second half, we did better. The second half, I visibly saw Shea Charles do a lot more. I don't know if that's because Flynn went off and Yander came on, because Yander looked pretty good when he came on. The times that, again, these players were allowed the ball before they were hacked down, the referee stopped the game. The referee did allow the game to go on for advantage a few times. That time that Ryan Fraser got absolutely bodied and then just, for some reason, I blinked and he was stood back up again. Fantastic part of the game. Which shows you again how good Fraser's been this season in comparison to a man at Monuments last season. But with all this money, all these people we've brought in, Ryan Fraser, a guy that was out in the cold last season, is probably one of our best players. And also, no matter what, was unable to really make an effect on the game. So, like, where's the problem, Greg? Is it literally just that... Where is it? I don't understand. Why can we not get the ball forward? Why is our midfield not able to tear up the midfield of every other team?
It just seems to be that midfield, and I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's them getting bullied, or they're just not enough, or they're finding themselves out of position. I mean, considering we stood back off of the goalkeeper to try and do this sort of pseudo man marking, with that in mind, every time the ball got across to the man that Archer wasn't running at, Finnasaz was absolutely nowhere near him. And I'm feeling like if we're standing off the goalkeeper to be man for man, you should be closer to your man.
It's
I don't know.
When Archer managed to actually when the goalkeeper came out too far and then he basically tried to get it into the open goal, there was just absolutely nobody there.
Why didn't he just shoot?
Because he hoped, because clearly they're probably training that there should be someone there. And there should have been.
Football's a really simple game, Zach. All you've got to do is kick the ball at the goal. It's not hard.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm going to drag it back into 3 defenders because no one else is up there. And even if someone was up there, they probably aren't getting to the ball first. Just put the ball in the net. That's what you're paid to do.
Yeah, but that's my point, is the frustration from every side is boiled over. Because, we all wanted that game. You said the atmosphere was electric. It was going to, we finally got this league game at St Mary's for the first time in however many, 13 years or something like that. It's a league game, so it's far more on the line, and just absolutely nothing.
I mean, the signs were there that it was going to be a disaster from the off, because literally the pyro set itself on fire. I don't know if that was shown on the TV, but literally 2 of the pyro boxes set themselves on fire and had to be removed from the equation.
That does not surprise me. They keep telling us pyros are dangerous, mate, so what do we expect?
Yeah, pyros are dangerous. Literally stood there and watched it set itself on fire.
I'll tell you what was weird. It was seeing I didn't know if the Pompey lot had set off flares, but I thought it was weird because it was white smoke. And what happened is, obviously, after all the adverts finished, because not ITV instead of BBC is a travesty, because I had to watch so many adverts. And then eventually it kicked off, and I thought, wow, that's weird. There's so much smoke. I wouldn't expect that. That looks like a flare or something. So now that you've pointed out the pyro boxes were on fire, I'm guessing that's what it was, and it wasn't a counter flare from a Pompey fans.
And then they bought the brass band out to play, but didn't switch on their microphone or something, and so it was like they were playing silently. It was just weird, mate. It was just bizarre, and
it is not understand. It is that I think that from a ownership, management, and even a player base, there is the understanding of a derby, and then there is a derby. They thought they understood the derby. They did not understand or get the derby, right? And again, how are you going to do that if you don't have a team that's been gelled for more than a couple of weeks? That's my problem. And there are players there that understood. Stevens understood. Even Taylor Harwood-Bellis understood, right? Bazunu understood. You could tell, right? Even if he did have one shaky moment, he played very, very well that whole game. But there were players there.
What was he doing? How did he do that?
What happened is he made a decision. Then he realised he shouldn't have made that decision. Then he realised that, oh wait, I can't reverse that decision. And then luckily it didn't come to anything. But if it did, he would have gone from you had a good game to the absolute disaster class of the season. And people would be saying that we should replace him with McCarthy. That's what happened. He almost broke his career with a split second, but managed to recover it. But then that's
We need to take a break. I've got a completely left field question for you.
Oh, good.
But first, a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. All right, mate, my left field question is not even really based on the game itself.
Oh, good.
Because, look, I went to the match. It was carnage. It was chaos. Saw a ludicrous amount of police on the way in. Had to go around to the ticket office because they spelt the email address that they sent the ticket to wrong for one of our tickets. So I had to go around and deal with that. Now, walking down the Northern Fan Zone, normally they make an expressly clear that you have to have a walkway And it was just carnage, right? Absolute chaos. It just people everywhere, and it was good atmosphere, buzzing, but like it was just proper busy. And then you got in, and there were stewards everywhere, and the stewards by us, who are normally very good, seemed to be picking fights with normal, standard Northerners for doing nothing, from what I could tell. And I just wonder, did they put so much effort into stopping there being trouble that they just stifled it completely and made it a lot harder for everyone? And not just for us as Saints fans, right? Like Pompey had to be picked up at fucking 7 o'clock in the morning from their stadium and get shipped down the M27 on a bunch of buses.
And then they kept closing all the junctions with police bikes and stuff to stop. I don't know what a bunch of people are going to drive by with cars and throw bricks or
ludicrous. And I know it's a derby, and I know it's serious, and I know there's a lot to it, but it just felt so over the top. Like needlessly over the top, and it really, I think that, I don't know if it itself stifled it, but it definitely led to additional frustration to watching what was unfolding on the pitch, which in itself was also incredibly frustrating.
I think that for everybody that was there, for sure, and you can tell that very, very quickly. I made a couple of decisions, and there's a lot of reasons why I ended up not going in the end, but I made the decision to watch it at home. And one of the reasons that I did was part of all of that faff, quite frankly, because you pointed out yesterday, you're worried that they're going to put so much effort into, policing the occasion that'll end up riling up people more than anything else. And that seems to be the case. And it didn't stop a lighter from being thrown, which is dumb. That idiot decided to then run on the pitch, as we pointed out, and get halfway down the pitch, and now is banned probably from every stadium forever. So
this is the worst game you could choose to do, because instantly 12 security guards were on him. And about 45 seconds after that, the steward in front of us stood up and started moving towards him, and we all cheered him and said, "Great reaction time, well done. Fastest move all season."
Well, yeah, considering there's been the last time we had a pitch invader, mate, where they barely got up, and the amount of stick you gave those clearly contract stewards that have decided to just not do anything at that point.
Well, look, it's not like me to nearly get myself in trouble with stewards or security. That would be entirely out of character. But there was one moment where they all came, my seat is next to the little walkway down into the concourse, and the whole team of additional security came out to sit in front of the little advertising boards, and they all just stood in the walkway for a solid 30 seconds before I turned around and went, "Come on, lads, shouldn't you be keeping the walkway clear?" And they didn't like that.
But yeah, I think they've obviously been told they need to be really, really on it. But yeah, I think that there's probably, it was a ridiculously expensive policing operation, right? I think
it was just ridiculous. I just don't I get it, but it felt over the top. It felt unnecessary.
I wonder if the cost of arresting another 30 people would have made if they'd reduced £100,000 out of the budget.
Yeah.
But if you're asking yeah, I think it probably would have had an effect on why people are frustrated, because they think, if I had to go all through this and we beat Pompey 4-0, everyone is happier. Having to go through all of that and then sitting through just the most dire game of football, and you're like, not only is it, well, what was all that fuss for? It's what was all that fuss for? And now I've got to deal with all this going around, all these people messing about, and yeah, you're right. It's going to be it's like having one wasp flying around you. It's annoying. But then you've got a second one flying around you. Yeah, of course it's going to wind people up. I don't think that it would have had an effect on result. I don't think the players paid that much attention to it. I think that they tried to be up for it as much as they. To be clear, I don't know why I'm defending them. I don't know. Maybe they were up for it and they're just bad. I don't know what happened.
Right, look, it's time to take us home. I want to finish with my favourite description of the match that I've read on the forums and on social media from a Saints fan today. And that was that the game was all fart, no poop. And that sums it up perfectly for me. No single phrase could encapsulate my feelings.
Everything about it, by the sounds of it, was good, apart from the actual game.
Yeah.
Like, even the frustrations you're talking about, and because you know how big it is, like, we've been dreaming about it, we've been talking about it non-stop, we've been thinking about it. Even my wife has said the last 3 days in a row she's dreamt about it. It's annoying her. She just wants it out of the way. It's a shame she's got another one to look forward to.
Yeah.
But then it happened, and it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was just nothing. It was a 0-0 draw. That's going to affect our league position. Our league position's a bit rubbish.
It is rubbish.
They're a team that realistically, if you take the fact that it's our biggest rivals out of the equation, a promoted team from last season managed a 0-0 draw against us in a similar way to the last couple of games. Now, as I said, the positives are, I think that a lot of the reasons of this is the fact that, yes, Will Stiller's now got his team. Has he had a chance to gel them together? No. This came at the worst possible time. We discussed that in our fixture episode way back when. We hoped it would be okay. It would have been okay, I think, had we done transfer business earlier. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. We've done the transfer business late. It's kind of ruined the occasion. All we can do is hope that it's onwards and upwards. But, with only one win against Wrexham so far in, 5-6 games now, I'm not saying you should go, but it's like people will want to see an improvement sooner rather than later, because it's just a bit.
It's time to
sad,
shut up, right? We got to really push on, and we got everyone, I'm sure, is really looking forward to travelling all the way up to Hull next. A dreary place at the best of times, let's be honest.
That's not fair. We work with someone who lives in Hull, and she absolutely loves it. Admittedly, she doesn't go outside and only plays games, but
look,
it has the fastest internet with the cheapest rent, apparently. So.
Yeah. Look, I mean, whatever floats your boat, it's not for me. But look, we've got to try and look forward to that, and we will as the week goes on, I'm sure. Look, let's put this to bed. We have rapidly run out of time. Zach, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our therapy session that we've come to know and love on a Sunday evening for your ears on Monday morning. We will be back tomorrow, and we cast our eyes to other parts of the Championship where there were some goals and some football.
There was so much worse things that happened to other clubs than us drawing to Pompey. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like I say, we're back tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you then. Until then, have a wonderful day.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Up the seats!